The following video is sponsored by Narwal. The latest and most advanced now vacuum from them is the upgraded, now called the Freo Z Ultra. So this model is using a very advanced twin AI dodge system here. So dual cameras at the front, it has their LiDAR 4.0 for navigation, but because of the dual cameras and the AI chip in this, it's a lot better now, the obstacle avoidance. It does have Dirt Sense 2.0, so it can detect where areas are dirty, go back, remop, reclean if needed, and it has 12,000 PA of suction performance. The mopping, like what we've seen before from Narwal, they have that triangular design with its mops that do overlap, so they don't leave any gaps. And those spin at 180 RPM, applying 1.2 kilos of downwards pressure. And we have adaptive hot air washing for those mops too in the all-in-one station. This is where it can detect the dirt level of the mops and adjust the temperature accordingly. So the maximum can go up to is 75 degrees. If it's something like grease or oil that it detects on those mops, and of course it will dry them later on, and that dries at 40 degrees Celsius. The internal dustbin, it can hold up to 120 days. And I'll show you what this new Narwal Freo Z Ultra is all about in this video. Now, great to see that Narwal do include some spares. So we get two of the little cleaning wipe things here for the baseboard module. You get a spare bag, a spare dust filter, spare little dust container. They include here a lemon and basil special formulated floor cleaning solution, and then the two side sweeper brushes and important safety instructions. The mop washboard area is very easy to remove for maintenance. You just need to pull up on the tabs here and the whole thing slides out like so. So you can pull this right apart, take this out completely, and then give that a wash as needed as part of your routine maintenance. Unlike other systems where the auto empty part is normally on the sides, it's located right here with our Freo Z Ultra. And I do like this design choice here from Narwal. I think it's very smart. They've got this clear plastic on the back here, so you can see that if the auto empty ever does get blocked, you'll be able to see where the blockage is, and you simply have 4 screws, and then this bottom panel lifts off and you can clear that out. Not that you should have to do this, but there is a slim chance it could happen, and they've catered for this. We do have these handholds either side to easily move around the all-in-one station, a water gauge right here. And speaking of the water, well, it is electro water sterilization that this does have. So that's going to be sterilizing that water, removing 99% of bacteria. Now, if you really want to go hands-free, you can get a kit off their website that means it'll be hard plumbed into the actual unit itself. So we have the wastewater, the clean water connection here at the back with a kit that you can get from them and the power there. And that means you don't need to empty the wastewater or add new clean water. It's going to be all done automatically. So very hands-free. Along the top, we have our little touch screen, and this is very handy to use. Instead of having to use the app, you can issue all the commands just from that little screen and by touch. And lifting this up, you'll find our wastewater and our clean water there, very clearly labeled and color-coded. Navigation with the Freo Z Ultra is handled by LiDAR 4.0, so that's precision navigation. It's very quick, very accurate, and that is scanning at 360 degrees. Then we have Twin AI Dodge. So this is a system that's been designed by Narwal to be very quick and accurate at detecting objects, to move around them, also get close to them, but detect them and know what it is looking at. And all the images too, by the way, that it does gather, they're all being processed locally by AI. So it's not being uploaded. There's nothing being sent over to servers, which is very good for privacy, of course. Now, the internal dustbin, very easy to access. The lid just comes off. It's got magnets that hold it into place. Little tab here, so you press that in, and then this little dustbin comes out. So we have our washable finals air filter right here, and there's a finer mesh inside, a plastic one there. That's the first stage of the filtration. And this, of course, comes right out too as well. So that's why they give you another one in the box. So you can simply slot that out and clean it for maintenance when you need to do so. And right here is where all the contents is sucked out into the all-in-one station from that little hole there. So these mops we've seen before, they are using this triangular design. So they're overlapping when they're spinning around here. We have mop lift of 12 millimeters, and they do spin at 180 RPM. A downwards pressure that is applied is 1.2 kilos. So they're going along, pressing down, scrubbing the floor, and you can easily remove these. These are just held on with Velcro, so later for maintenance when you need to replace them or wash them, it's not too much of a task to be able to do that. Suction performance is class leading. We've got 12,000 PA. The brush will adjust to different floor levels, so you can see it moves up and down. And let's take a look at this brush, because this is SGS tangle-free certified, the brush here. And I can confirm when using the previous model that had this same brush design here with the Freo X Ultra, I never got any hair tangled in it. It really does actually work. So we've got a combination of sweepers, which are rubber, the bristles right here angled in a way that they push the hair and the design of this aerodynamic brush right to the end, so the hairs come off, get sucked up into the internal dustbin and not stuck around this brush here. And you can remove that too for maintenance. Very easy to do so. Finally, stuck onto the side, this is the baseboard cleaning module. This is a first. I've not seen this before on robot vacuum cleaners. So it does the initial map. It'll go around the rooms, map out everything. It does use LiDAR, and it's their LiDAR 4.0 system. So it is very accurate in that mapping. And typical of most LiDAR-based robot vacuum cleaners, that it will cover the edges first, go around your furniture, and of course it will be able to go under beds. Nothing new there. We've seen all of this right before, but this model does have, and I'll get onto it straight away, obstacle avoidance that is very advanced, and in fact it's one of the best that I have seen. So it's their twin AI dodge, they call this, and it's a system of 2 cameras that are ultra-wide cameras, and it can pick up and detect a lot of different household objects. So for example, in my test, it's a sock, a shoe, and a Type-C USB cable, and I haven't had it bundled up. You can see it's just by itself, that how it would probably be found on the floor if someone did accidentally drop it or leave it behind. And a cat's toy too, which is often strewn about in my household. You can see that this footage that I've sped up now to 300 times playback, that it did an excellent job of going around and detecting these objects. So the USB cable, not a problem. The shoe, not a problem either. It might have bumped into them occasionally, but the best thing is that it didn't end up eating that Type-C cable, which can often happen, get wound up in the main brush. No, not a problem, went around everything just fine. So that is excellent. Next up, that suction performance. So it's 12,000 PA. How did it fare? My very stubborn test here. On the carpet, on this mat, I did lay out some cat fur. I had 2 donors, and of course, no cats were harmed in the making of this video here. I just brushed them and got some hair from them, some cat fur, and I laid that out. Most of it is Vera's. As you can see, it's quite black, dark. Long human hair was added too as well, and some corn flakes, some cat food, and a bit of general dust and dirt there, laid and strewn about there. So on the first pass at the 12,000 PA, it did an okay job. You can see that it did push around some of the cornflakes, left a few gaps, but on the second pass, it goes in the opposite direction now, as you can see. And this is where things did improve, that it started to pick up everything. Well, a very difficult test, even with that 12,000 PA, and it managed to get literally everything, but not quite. As you can see now on close inspection, that the side sweeper brushes did end up pushing away a couple of pieces of cornflake there. That was the only thing that was left behind. But what about its certified tangle-free brush that we've got? Now that's certified by SGS, and I know from the previous models that I've covered from Narwal that it doesn't get tangled, and sure enough, it was exactly the same as before, that no hairs were tangled up in that main brush. So excellent, really good to see, and I can say that without a doubt, this truly is a tangle-free brush. Unlike some other brands that claim they are, but later, just the rubber brushes, they end up getting the hair all stuck in one of the ends, or even in the main brush, won't happen here. So that is excellent. So the results of the dustbin after doing this test, you can see that it's full, that it's got all the hair inside there, that it wasn't left over on the brush, and I can see all the cornflakes and the fur, cat fur in there too, not a problem. But what about the auto empty station? How is it going to empty it all? Well, typical that it will go back in here, which I'll show you now. I'll give you a sample of what it sounds like. That there is no debris, no dust, no fur remaining in the dustbin. So really good auto empty performance. Then on to my mopping test, which I think is a lot more difficult than that vacuuming test here, because this is mud and dirt mixed with coffee that I let dry on these two tiles here. So it makes a real stubborn stain, very difficult to lift off, and a lot of the robot vacuum cleaners with mopping performance is really pushed to the limit here to test and see what they can do. Now again, I give them 2 passes here with this particular test, and you can see on the first pass that the Freo Z Ultra is doing a reasonably good job. Now where it is a little bit more difficult, just going along, you can see it did leave a little bit of this mess, and I don't find that to be a surprise. It's normally the second pass to get rid of everything, considering that this is baked on, this is dried, stubborn mud and coffee. Now, the second pass again goes in the opposite direction, which is typical of these robot vacuums. They will do that, so it's a lot more thorough, and it did pretty much get everything. And like I've said in my other robot vacuum videos, that those 2 little marks, or 2 or 3 little marks, you can see those black dots, there are chips in the tiles, so that's never going to be lifted out. So mopping performance was really good. And when you take a look at those mops, they are absolutely filthy. They are covered, of course, with the coffee, with the mud there, and that's a very stubborn stain. Let's see now if our auto empty and auto wash station with its hot water cleaning is going to be able to get rid of that completely. It's a very stubborn stain here, but it will be washing it up to 75 degrees Celsius. So it's hot water that it's using. It's going to definitely aid that cleaning performance of those white mops.
Started to prepare electrolyzed water.
Now you can see that it is a lot cleaner and it's looking almost pure white, but if you notice around the edges of both of the mops, the coffee has left a bit of a residual stain, and I think that this is acceptable. This is kind of normal considering it is coffee after all. So it did a very good job of cleaning those mops, and then it will proceed to dry them too at 40 degrees. So all up from the tests that I've been conducting and just letting it clean our house for a few days, that the floors have been looking excellent. I've had no hair tangled up in that certified tangle-free main brush that does have the 12,000 PA vacuuming performance, as we saw, did an excellent job and only left a couple of bits of cornflakes because of the brush. It's just the way it flicked it out of the way there, which is pretty standard. That can happen to any robot vacuum cleaner. Now that mop performance, as I showed you just now, I think is very good. And what has impressed me the most with this particular model here is the performance of its AI obstacle avoidance, thanks to the twin AI dodge that it does have. Those cameras, twin cameras there, did an excellent job of seeing especially the hardest one, which is that Type-C cable, that it didn't get wound up and stuck in the main brush at all. So if you're after an all-in-one robot vacuum cleaner that has the adaptive hot air washing, it has dirt sense that can detect the floors and the mops being dirtier based off the dirty water sample that it's going to be checking from the wastewater when it's cleaning those mops, then it is definitely one to take a look at here if you're after all of those features. So thank you so much for watching my video here on the Narwal Freo Z Ultra.